Great to be with you. Those in this place of worship, it's great to have you here. For those online, friends, good to spend time with you. And I trust that God's going to bless you through the word. 1 Samuel, we're starting out at chapter 4, eventually ending up at chapter 7. Waar's al die horders in die gehoor? Is 'n paar van hulle. Nou gaan jy dadelik sê, Gustav, you have to distinguish. Daar's netjiese horders en dan's daar horders. Nee. So hoekom hou jy vas aan van die goed? There are just things that, number one, I know husbands do this. They think or say, maybe I'll need it again in future. So I'm just gonna keep it here. Nee, hy nie, Henk. Jy kan later uitkneel as jy nou hier in die huis van die Here. Jy weet wat met Ananias en Safira gebeur, né? But there are things that are just, they remind us of a season, of an experience, of people. Very often about the faithfulness of God or something significant that God did in your life. So I brought a little bit of my hoarding to church today. These are my high school spikes, believe it or not. Why would you keep them? Hey, ek kan hardloop, broer. Ek hardloop nie van nou die dag af nie, ek is lankal verslaaf. I'm not addicted to running. It's just incredible how it makes you feel. This pair were witness to some great feats. You know that we learn, we get to know people by the stories they tell. So if you bear with me, there might be stuff that you have heard over the past few years. I was very privileged to train with an incredible group of young guys in 1990, 91, then eventually in 92. Qualified for SA Champs. But at Eastern Transvaal Champs, having run quite a few 800s and 400s in these, I qualified for the 200. It wasn't my main focus, but I'm going to do it in any case. Because just maybe I can beat the rest and be the best. So that Saturday morning at Secunda Stadium, as I came through the turn after the third false start from other runners, I tore a hip ligament, and to this day I have the scars of that fall in that bend. It was a horrible day. I remember how they put me on a stretcher and carried me off the track. And I remember lying in the medic room, my dad next to me and tears running down my cheek. It's just disappointment. And these were there. But thank God, we don't always end up where we bleed. Sometimes we bleed and then we pick ourselves up and then move along. I hope you've got a let's move on attitude. You can't sit in the despair and disappointment of an experience. Because God always has something better in store. Don't sit there. Wonderful testimony. These were privy. They had VIP seats. The next season, moved to Barberton, and my second day at school was Barberton High School in-house athletics. And I ended up getting 5 first places. And I broke 4 track records. They saw my demise, but they also saw my rise to stardom. Did you hear what I said? My rise to stardom. You got to figure out what you're aiming for. My stardom and your stardom doesn't look the same, but God has greatness in store for each one of us. You got to find the things that make you happy. please bury me with them on my feet. As julle kinders wonder waarmee begrawe julle my, sit daai ouetjies aan my voete eendag, hoor. 1 Samuel starts out in chapter 4 with the story of Israel's defeat and the capture of the ark. So I've just highlighted some of the main points in these chapters, and I'm just gonna touch on them. So 1 Samuel chapter 4 verse 1 says, and the word of the Lord through Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out to battle against the Philistines. Now you'd imagine that if God says, move, go to battle, that God would help you. The harsh reality is that, and you can read this further, I'm not going to, just for time's sake, not go through everything. In that specific battle, the Philistines kills 4,000 Israelites. And they capture the Ark of the Covenant. So 4,000 men die on the battlefield, and the Ark is with the Philistines. What a pitiful situation. 1 Samuel chapter 5 is a story about the ark amongst the Philistines. And you'll remember the story of Dagon, the Philistine god, and the Ark of the Covenant in this place of worship. So the first day, they put the ark there. Toe hulle die oggend daar kom, toe die beeld omgeval. Vat hulle God en sit hom weer reg op. Wat 'n God dat jou moet help reg op staan. Jy lag. Ons het ook ons gode. Hoe lyk jou dae, God? Eina, Gustav, don't go there. Yeah, that's fine. Julle kan volgende week met Marcus beklei, ek's nie hier nie. So let's just talk. Nee, ek gaan nie oor jou dae gaan praat nie. But you know how the story progresses, and eventually Dagon is defeated, disarmed, and beheaded. Sounds like something that the word says in Colossians 2. He disarmed and defeated all principalities and powers that were raged against us. He made a bold public spectacle of him, triumphing over him on the cross. Kolossense 2. Dis julle moet meer excited wees hier. Ja. Ryk julle skaap. Dis die probleem. Maak hy deur toe. Haal almal asseblief julle parfuum uit, spuit net dat ons net nie deur die skaap distrek word nie. So, chapter 5, the Ark of the Covenant amongst the Philistines. Chapter 6, the Philistines gets to a place where they say to themselves, we cannot tolerate this thing that embodies and signifies the presence of God. We got to get this thing back to them. And so the story goes. So let's pick up where. Let's go to chapter 6. Verse 2. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, what shall we do to the ark of the Lord? And tell us what we shall send it, how we shall send it back to its place. So they end up sending the Ark of the Covenant back. Upon arrival, I'm just fast forwarding, upon arrival, Israel is so excited because the Ark had returned to their camp. And there's the shout of praise, and the Philistines get scared and say to themselves, now God is with them, we've got no chance to overcome them. Sien, partykeer moet jy net bietjie skreeu, dat die duiwel net weet dat jy weet, hy's nie baas nie. O, heerlikheid. Ek gaan dit herhaal. Partykeer moet jy skreeu sodat die duiwel weet dat jy weet hy's nie baas nie. With this, Israel has this thing in mind. Well, now we are ready. Dink jy ook so? Nou is hulle reg. Jy sien, toe hulle by Ebenezer was, in hoofstuk 4, 4000 mense gaan dood, toe is dit 'n dag van despair. Maar dit is omdat hulle ver van God af is. Baie mense gaan deur goed, kan ek dit sê, omdat hulle ver van God af is. Like it, don't like it. Praat met Marcus volgende week. Yes, ek gaan nou een vandag gebruik. Nee, talk to me. Some people go through things simply because God is not honored and revered. Won't you determine this in your heart? That nothing that happens around me will affect my affection, my devotion, my commitment to God. It's necessary. Otherwise, when things are going well, you forget about God. When things are bad, you run to God. That is the disease of modern day Christianity. God has become our crutch. This isn't popular preaching. No, really. But with the Ark of the Covenant back in the camp, the enemy says, there's no way we can overcome them. They think, now we're ready. And Samuel says, charge! You'll know that story, hey? I'm the leader of the pack. I'll say when we charge. Who knows the animation movie? What's the story? Aristocats. Girls don't start fights, but they sure know how to finish them. That was Renee's favorite part. Having two brothers, you got to know that story very well. Say it like she says it. Yeah. So they end up consolidating, full of faith. The Ark of the Covenant is back in the camp, and they pursue Israel. Or they pursue the Philistines. But chapter 7, 30,000 Israelite men die. 30,000 die. Even though the Ark of the Covenant is back in the camp. Gustav, explain it. I can't. I can't. I'll tell you this. The only thing that I can deduct from that is that some battles are not meant to be fought. Some battles are not meant to be fought. Maybe they were overly confident, but still God was not in their fight. Can I tell you, with love, much love, there are fights that you're involved in and you're alone because God's not with you in that fight. Dis mooi waar hy daai Gustav. See, the enemy wears us down when we engage in battles that we're not supposed to. And you get tired and you blame God. You're not supposed to be in that battle. So when I fight on my... What's it? Oh yeah, remember. Thanks for helping me out. 1 Samuel chapter 8. Let's pick up on some of these wonderful biblical truths. When Samuel was old, he made his sons judges. No, sorry, that's chapter 8. I want to go to chapter 7, verse 9. So Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it as a whole burnt offering. This is 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 9. Samuel cried to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered. And the men of Israel, verse 11, went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and smote them as far as below Beth-kar. Verse 13. So the Philistines were subdued and came no more into Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. But I skipped one verse, and now I'm going there now. Verse 12. Samuel took a stone, set it between Mizpah and Ebenezer, which is called the stone of help, saying, Hitherfore the Lord has helped us. Ebenezer, tot hiertoe het die Here ons gehelp. I want you to reflect and just glance over the last 3 years of your life. And I want you to find something significant, meaningful, divine that just shouts and proclaims and confesses, this was God. Come on. Jog your memory. Jog your memory. In chapter 4, the name Ebenezer, and that's the place where the battle took place, was tied to defeat. 4,000 people died. And moving beyond past experience, Samuel comes to a place between Mizpah and Sippah. No, what's the second name? Mizpah and Shem, sorry. And in between those two, away from his place of original defeat, he sets up a stone and he calls that thing Ebenezer. What do you gather from that? Firstly, he moved away from his place of disappointment. Don't get stuck with the things of the past where you feel, yeah, I didn't make it. Don't get stuck there. Move on. Get in tune with God. March to his drumbeat. Not your own drumbeat. Simple. So, the old Ebenezer, place of despair. 3,000 died. Later on, in battle, 30,000 died. 4,000, 30,000. But in a new place, he sets up a stone and says, oh, tot hiertoe die Here ons gehelp. Die Bybel is vol monumente. Joshua leads Israel through the Jordan, and on the other side of Jordan, he sets up the 12 priests, gather stones, and he builds a monument. This will be the reminder that God has brought us out of slavery. Ebenezer was a place of shame. But with that in mind, he sets up a new stone of remembrance. And what he remembers is the faithfulness of God. I just wrote down 3 things let's just highlight this. Number 1, it's often in times of crisis that the hand of God and the works of God become more evident than ever. Number 2, God's faithfulness in the past is the building block of my hope for the future. Can I repeat? God's faithfulness in the past is the building block of my hope for the future. Jy moet ergens kan sê, Ebenezer, tot hiertoe het die Here my gehelp. Don't hesitate. Is daar een ou in hierdie gehoor wat sê die Here het my al gehelp? Wat fout met die res van julle? Het die Here julle nie gehelp nie, of is julle... Kyk, kom ons probeer weer. Is daar wie in hierdie gehoor kan sê die Here het my al gehelp? Ebenezer is a time of turning back to God. Sien ons praat oor God en dan sê ons hy lei my by waters waar daar vrede is. Vrede is. Wat is die prys van vrede? Wat kan jy betaal vir vrede? It's priceless. It's priceless. Die Bybel praat van vrede wat alle verstand te bowe gaan. Dis wanneer daar by daai Ebenezer plek van ontmoeting 'n memory peg in jou hart is en jy sê God was getrou, en nou in hierdie turmoil wat ek dalk ervaar, kan ek sê hy is nog steeds my vrede. In elk geval, net 'n reminder, die woord sê dat Jesus is die prins van vrede, so kom ons wees net reguit met mekaar. Daar's geen vrede sonder die prins van vrede nie. Dit het 'n handeklap amper verdien daar. Is nie. Okay, ek sal Hy lei my na waters waar daar vrede is. Ek en jy staan konstant by hierdie uitdaging. Gaan ek by my ou Ebenezer bly of gaan ek 'n nuwe monument bou vandag? Terugkyk na gister en sê, weet jy, daai defeat maak nie saak nie. What matters most is here and now. Maar hoe lank kan jy daai attitude hou? Hoe lank kan jy na defeat staan by Mizpah, terugkyk en dan sê jy nou, hey, tot hier toe die Here ons gehelp. sobering truth. Do you know what the time frame was between Ebenezer and the first Philistine defeat where 4,000 people died? And Ebenezer at Mizpah, where Samuel set up a new stone and said, up until here, God has been faithful. Do you know what the time frame is? Guess. Iemand? 20 jaar. Can I tell you? It takes some resolve. It takes a measure of faith. It takes a measure of resilience to walk with the memory of defeat from 20 years back and still get to the point where you say, up until here, God has been faithful. To the world and the enemy, the cross looked like a failure. Until he said, it is finished. Looking back at the cross, the world thought, Jesus is done. And then he said, it is finished. It went further because it didn't stop there. There was remembrance stone upon remembrance stone upon remembrance stone. So the failure, what seemed like a failure on the cross was evident, it was there. Then he shouts, it is finished. And everything is in limbo. Until that Sunday morning, when they arrive at the grave, met by an angel who says, hey, he's not here. He has risen. New memory peg, new stone of remembrance, a new testimony that you cannot look at the past and figure out what the future will look like. Oh yeah, that's alright. That's an alright statement there. Why? Because if you looked at the cross and it seemed like failure, it still looked like a failure until they said, he's not here, he has risen. And then he's there for 40 days and gone. Was I know? And it felt like failure again. Until they heard the angels say, men of Galilee, do not be dismayed, for surely as you have seen him depart, just like that, he will return. New remembrance stone. Look at the cross, seems like failure. Hear him saying it is finished, good to go. He's not here, he's risen, good to go. As he left, he will return, good to go. Psalm 103, if you'll go there with me. Hey, that's klink soos 'n gediggie daai. Psalm 103. Would you go there with me? Personal stories, julle alright met hom? Een van die groot disappointments, nie met skoene soos daai nie, mens sal dit nooit maak nie. Een van die moeilike goed, personal experience, was toe ek in 2018, fiks, sterk, lean, die van daai jaar gesê, dat is te maar. Ek was maarder as hy toe. Hy het nie altyd sulke groot guns gehad nie. Hy was toe ook maar geweest, maar ek was maarder as die maar ouens het gesê ek is maar. Ja. Good shape. Hardloop PB's, hardloop loskop PB en. Baie confident. En I campered down. The lower limbs just seize up. Back spasm, glutes, hamstrings, calves, everything. The mind was right, the body said, you're not moving one more step. So I bailed. Not an unpleasant man. Spectator tannie langs my, sit ek so in die geel streep. kwaad vir myself, kwaad vir die wêreld, maar hierdie lyf sê niks. Can I give you something for pain? I said, what do you have? No, just to relax your muscles. I said, please. Ja, needless to say, toe Henry daar kom, toe het ek 2 Valiums down the hatch en ek lê in die geel streep en slaap. How to deal with failure. 2 Valiums. Ek het na die tyd gedink, daar's niks wat 'n Valium nie kan fix nie, man. But oh the joy if you can gather yourself when failure knocks at the door. Gather yourself, get back up. Because old Joyce says you can't be pitiful and powerful. And you just line up next year and then you get that silver. Weet jy hoe sweet is victory wanneer jy defeat geproe het? Wow. Psalm 103. I'm reading from the Amplified. I'm just closing with this. And won't you I'm going to touch on one specific word. En ja, onthou my maar vir hom so bietjie in die toekoms. Bless affectionately and gratefully praise the Lord, O my soul, and all that is deepest within me. Bless His holy name. Bless affectionately and gratefully praise the Lord, O my soul, and forget not one of His benefits. Onthou benefits. Who forgives every one of all our iniquities, who heals each one of all our diseases, who redeems your life from the pit and corruption, who beautifies, dignifies, and crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercy. That sounds like a story of great recovery. Don't get stuck at your Ebenezer. God's got a new victory in store for you. Verse 5, He satisfies your mouth, your necessity and desire at your personal age. Listen to this amplified. And situation. It doesn't just satisfy at whatever age you are, in whatever situation you're at. God is faithful, reliable. With good, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Strong. Listen to this amplified. Overcoming, soaring. It sounds a bit like I can see myself in the future. And I look much better than I look right now. As jy dit glo, wil jy nie net vir jou neighbor dit sê nie. I can see myself in the future. And I look much better than I look right now. Ouma Landman is in 'n tyd in gemeentelewe waar dit moeilik gaan. Maar sy soos ons gesin sê hierdie, ons sê dit. Mark my words. Jy sal nooit in jou lewe sien dat een van hierdie rooskinders, Millerkinders, honger kry nie. We've fed too many people. We've got seed in the ground. Sal nooit. Ouma Landman praat dit, preek dit, sê dit. Ek sal nooit honger kry nie. In 'n moeilike seisoen voorsien God. Maar sy bid een oggend en sy het die inner turmoil. Jy weet, ek en jy het mos inner turmoil wanneer dit nie lekker gaan na buite soos wat ek dink of hoop dit moet gaan nie. In haar inner turmoil bid sy een oggend. En terwyl sy bid, klop 'n boemelaar aan die deur. Staan op. Dis pastorie lewe daai. Like it, don't like it. Staan op, maak op die deur. Mevrou, okay, sit, wag. Kombuis, broodjie, help. En in haar onstuimigheid, toe sy hom totsiens sê en sy het 'n broodjie gemaak en hy's weg. Ek dink sy, ek het self behoefte. Maar ek gee. Kind of a wounded healer thing. You got your own needs, but you take care of the needs of others. Nou my landman sê, nee man, ek het self behoefte. En sy maak die Bybel oop, ek weet nie of julle dit doen nie. Ouma Landman het dit gedoen, my ma het dit gedoen, ek het dit al gedoen. Speel hulle ook so Russian roulette? Ag Here, praat nou met my. Nee, julle is baie meer geestelik as ek. Julle doen nie sulke goed. Julle het altyd 'n woord van die Here wat brand in jou hart. Of jy ook desperate dat jy op jou knieë sit en sê, Here, praat nou met my. I do that. Ouma maak haar Bybel oop. And the word says, cast your bread upon the water and in many days it will return to you. Sy, nie kalm Zelda Landman nie. Fiery Zelda Landman. Sy vat haar Bybel, sy steek hom so in die lug. Sy sê, Here, ek is nou moeg vir brood, ek soek bietjie koek. And now Psalm 103 verse 2 says, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not one of His benefits. Benefits is translated. There are many other words, and I've preached about this. And I'm going to leave this word with you. We don't serve God for the benefits. But I promise you this. You can bless the Lord. Oh, your soul can shout His praise and give Him glory. And you should not ever forget one of His benefits. Want benefits daar is dessert. See, God feeds, God nourishes, God takes care of your desires. And every now and then, God serves dessert. Can we, in our togetherness, have a little faith and say, God, thank you for every slice of bread. Let's do it. Come on. But can you gather a little faith and say, God, may I have a little dessert? Forget not one of His benefits. Moet ek het vir jou uitspel in Afrikaans? Sometimes you need a little pudding. Pa Hans, as hy gekuier het, ontdek die Rosiestafel. Dan sit hy. Maak nie saak wat op die spyskaart is nie. Hy sou die nagereg lepel vat. Dan tel hy hom so op, dan sê hy, "Oh, hierdie is 'n belofte. Hierdie is 'n belofte." Dan lag die kinders maar net. "Oupa, hoe nou?" Sê, "Tannie Renay kan kuiter. Daar's min mense in my lewe wat my so bederf het op 'n dinnerkuier soos jy. God bless you." Vat paar daai lepel en sê, hierdie lepel sê, there's a promise of something sweet heading my way. Wil jy saam met my jou oë toemaak vir 'n oomblik? Hierdie gaan absoluut crazy voel, dink of lyk vir jou. Ek wil hê jy moet saam met my jou imaginary pudding lepel van die tafel af vat. En jy moet hom in jou regterhand vashou. En jy moet vir jouself vanmôre sê, Garrett Miller, I'm ready for dessert. The goodness of God in the land of the living, that is my experience. I will bless the Lord at all times, and I will not forget any one of the many puddings He's serving me. God bless you.